It's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking postseason baseball, the NLDS between the Padres and the Dodgers. Game one. We've got a promo code for you guys. It's October if you want 15% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Dodgers favored minus 150. The total is 8. This is a best of 5 series in Arlington, Texas. The Dodgers have won 6 of the past 10 meetings between these two teams, but that's actually a lot of wins for the Padres. Granted, the Dodgers won the most games in all of baseball. Walker Buehler is going for the Dodgers. The Padres have not announced a starter as of taping, so a bit of a question mark on that one. We've got Scott Rickenbach joining us to talk this matchup. Overall, what do you look at when you're handicapping both of these teams?
Well, in this particular case, like you mentioned, it's tough, a little tough to make a call here because we don't know the pitcher yet for the Padres. But what I'm looking at here is this venue, I think, factors into this game, as well as the fact that we do know that Walker Buehler is slated to start for the Dodgers in this one. And first off, used to be the park that the Rangers played at in Texas actually was a very hitter-friendly park. But now this new park, Globe Life Field, actually played out to be very pitcher-friendly this season. And I think we're going to see that in this matchup, especially with two teams that, of course, are not familiar with playing there either. You've got a couple of National League teams playing at this park, and they have a little experience because of the West factor. They played AL West a little bit this season, but not much. So the key here, Walker Buehler, 24-9 in his career with a 3.15 ERA, and he held hitters to a 178 batting average this season. Great stuff. And in the postseason, he's made 7 career postseason starts, 2.90 ERA, and has held hitters to a 170 batting average. I don't expect the Padres to get much done here at the plate in this one. In 5 of the 10 games between these teams this season, the Padres were held to 2 runs or less. I think they're going to have a tough time getting many runs across the plate here in this one. And even though we don't yet know who the Padres are going to throw in this one, you know that they're going to, even if they put together a bullpen type game, a kind of a mixture of pitchers for this one, they're going to bring their good arms. They want to get that first win under their belt. If they can, perhaps get an early lead in this series where, of course, they're the big underdogs, they would love to jump out to a 1-0 series lead, and they're going to have to rely on their pitching to do it. One final comment here about why I like the under in this matchup is that 17 of the Dodgers' last 23 postseason games, not including any extra inning runs, but they've totaled 7 runs or less. That's 17 of the 23. And again, we're looking at an early total on this game of 8 runs, and I think it's going to stay under that total at a pitcher-friendly ballpark.
I have a lot of questions on this one just because we do not know who's starting. However, I think the most impressive thing to me about the Padres series win over the Cardinals is that game 3, the deciding game, they did a bullpen game and they still won, and they did it in shutdown fashion, winning 4-0. The fact that you had 9 different pitchers combining for a shutout is really impressive, especially in the postseason. I think it speaks volumes to how well this Padres rotation, or I shouldn't say rotation, their staff, their bullpen has been pitching when it comes down the stretch. I think the question here is, will they have Mike Clevenger and Dinelson Lamet available? I don't know if they will, especially for game 1, and that's the game that we're talking about. So we'll probably see Chris Paddock or Zach Davies. I think if it's Chris Paddock, I would be a little less inclined to take the Padres. If it's Zach Davies, maybe, just because I think underdogs are definitely live when it comes to the postseason. We've seen a lot of these underdogs come out and win, especially when it comes to the first game. We saw the Astros take down the A's, but any leanings when it comes to the side?
Not really. It's so tough to call, like you said, with the pitching situation. You could lean to the dog here. One thing I did read that I want to mention is that Buehler is probably going to be limited to about 4 innings in this one. And that's another factor where maybe would have you leaning to the dog. Certainly, I am a dog player. I do prefer playing the dogs rather than laying juice. So I would be looking at the Padres here. But like you, I would be more comfortable once I know the exact pitching matchup. But I do lean toward the under in this one because, like you said, the Padres pitching staff did a phenomenal job in a pressure-packed situation in that shutout win over the Cardinals. That was great stuff. So.
Right. One last leaning I would have is sometimes in the playoffs, the teams that have the most momentum are the best to back. And I think the Padres actually have more momentum coming into this one. Yeah, it took them 3 games to take down the Cardinals, but what a series that was. And they did it, like I said, throwing a bullpen game in game 3. And some of their hitters have been really hot. Fernando Tatis Jr., 5 for 11 with 2 home runs in that series. And also, he hit that 3-0 grand slam against the Rangers at this very park. And so he does have some history when it comes to playing at that park. So that should be a fun one to watch. Any other thoughts on this one?
Momentum, you're right, is a big thing. And, the Padres looked like they were left for dead in game 2 of that 3-game series when they were down big and they rallied twice. The game at one point was 4-0. Another point it was 6-2. They were on their last breaths there, but they battled back, and to have that momentum and then parlay it into a 4-0 shutout in the final game, that is big. And it would be something to keep an eye on here. And also, I might mention we might get some value with the run line on the Padres. Now, again, I don't like to lay too much juice on anything, but if you see the plus 1.5 runs, because I'm at a decent price, because I'm thinking this is going to be a tighter, low-scoring game. Again, that's why I like the under. So just something to keep in mind. But definitely, you're right, momentum and underdogs, a good combination for sure.
Right. Even though I will say Dodgers at minus 150 is probably the smallest price that we'll probably get on the Dodgers or that we've seen in a while. So I guess if you do like the Dodgers, on paper, I think they're the better team. But in the postseason, like I said, I think momentum actually plays a huge factor. But that's going to wrap it up for our baseball talk here on Picks and Parlays. Good stuff from Scott Rickenbach. Scott, thanks for joining us.